Summary: the female protagonist is from the Wen family, while the male protagonist is from the Yin family. Now, the main story begins. During high school, I intentionally scored low to help the poor school heartthrob and paid him to tutor me. However, he hated me for taking up his time with his childhood sweetheart. Moreover, upon learning that I scored 100 points higher than him in the college entrance examination, he cursed me, calling me a false, benevolent, scheming, and malicious rich girl who would never find true love. In the end, I was killed by him. He even went to my grave to warn me, if there is a next life, don't pretend to pity him anymore, and don't force feelings that never belonged to me, as he wished. This time, I didn't ask him for tutoring again. He had plenty of time to wash dishes and serve plates with his childhood sweetheart in various restaurants. The school heartthrob Sebastian's father died in the line of duty 3 years ago in a fire. My family's chain restaurant was in the business district where his father was fighting the fire. In gratitude for his father, my family donated 1 million to his family afterwards. His mother was so heartbroken that she fell ill and was hospitalized. By the time Sebastian and I were accepted into the same public high school, his family had already spent most of the firefighter death benefits and various donations left by his father. My mother found out that I was in the same key class as him. Planning to donate another 1 million to his family, Sebastian coldly refused, saying, "Don't insult me." Later, I came up with a plan to intentionally score the lowest in the entrance exam, and then I paid a high price to ask Sebastian to tutor me. This way, I could protect his self-esteem while also allowing him to spend less time working in the cafeteria and more time taking care of his mother and studying. But in my previous life, he ended up hating me for it. First, he felt that my long-term tutoring sessions with him took away from his time with his childhood friend Liu Junhuan, which led to Liu Junhuan from the neighboring school starting a relationship with the school bully. Second, he believed that my college entrance exam score being 100 points higher than his was a complete exploitation and insult to him. He thought that as a poor student, I shouldn't score higher than him, and I definitely shouldn't take the opportunity to pursue him. He said he could never like me, cursing me, the malicious and scheming rich girl, to never find true love. Later, he worked hard and was admitted to a graduate school better than his undergraduate. In his 3rd year of graduate school, he secured angel investment to start a medical beauty company, and since he was already the campus heartthrob, his looks made his medical beauty business even more convincing. Soon, he earned 10 million. He finally mustered the courage to find Liu Junjun, who had been out of contact with him for a long time. But Liu Junjun was already pregnant with twins by a wealthy businessman 10 years her senior. Compared to the family assets of the wealthy businessman, Sebastian's 10 million was simply a drop in the bucket. Thus, Sebastian vented all his hatred onto me. He unusually invited me to his shop for a cosmetic procedure, then stealthily injected poison into my limbs and bones, ultimately covering up my death with a light-hearted cosmetic accident. My parents originally wanted to seek justice for me. However, upon learning that the incident occurred at Sebastian's company, they chose to believe Sebastian's explanation out of respect for his late father's legacy as a firefighting hero. They even completed my funeral with Sebastian's assistance. After the funeral, Sebastian tricked my parents into giving him new investment funds, and he proudly came to boast at my grave. Then he warned me with full of hatred, "If there is a next life, don't pretend to be a saint and pity him. He doesn't need my family's donations and aid at all, and he looks down on earning my family's money by tutoring someone like me. It was my arrogance that led to my own demise, and he feels no guilt. Perhaps the heavens saw that I died too unjustly and pitifully, and gave me a chance to be reborn. This time, I will not hide my strength or belittle myself for a scumbag for even a second. I will no longer give that scumbag any chance to earn a single penny from my family. I will also not let him hurt me even a little." Holding the bottom score report from my sophomore exams, I hurried home. Looking at my parents, who seemed much younger, gave me a feeling as if I were in a different world. My mom took my report card, fed me a piece of orange, and then pointedly said, "Our little Lilith is back. Make sure to get plenty of vitamin C to boost your immunity. And don't forget to take a fish oil capsule. Remember, you are the top student in the city. Don't get too into character as the bad student now." I chewed the orange, tears welling up, and replied, starting today, I won't need Sebastian to come over for tutoring anymore. I won't intentionally score at the bottom in the next exam either. Also, if he goes to work at any of our family's restaurants again, please tell the manager to refuse him." My mom looked surprised and exchanged glances with my dad. In my previous life, although my parents agreed to let me intentionally score at the bottom to help Sebastian, it caused us to hold our heads low for quite a while. The daughter of a citywide exam top scorer, I became a poor student in a key class at a public middle school, with my grades always at the bottom. From the first year of high school to the second year, a full 2 years, I was criticized for faking my exam scores. And once I entered the public middle school, my true self was revealed. In a family where business is all about calculations, how could they possibly focus on studying? Finding a top 10 student to tutor is just a way to get closer to the source, a resource exchange to improve their family's looks. After all, in this world, beautiful women are paired with ugly men, or it's just ordinary girls and handsome guys forced into a couple, which is particularly bad for everyone's eyes and breasts. Similar remarks always reached my ears intermittently, but from the very beginning, my family decided to help the descendant of the firefighting hero, Sebastian, and my parents could only endure such criticism. Moreover, I was very much into it, and I even started to like Sebastian a little, always defending him everywhere. Objectively speaking, it's quite normal for a teenage girl like me to like good-looking faces, right? Plus, I have a filter for Sebastian as a descendant of a heroic savior. And after reading some domineering CEO novels, I found myself inexplicably drawn to him during our daily interactions, despite his cold demeanor. So my mom is also very anxious and often reminds me about it. But I promised my mom that I would confess only after the college entrance examination. The tears that Ying was holding back have been sucked back in by me, and I firmly said, "I'm not joking, I'm going back to the study to review by myself." As soon as I finished speaking, the doorbell rang. Aunt Ju, the nanny, brought in the cold and aloof Sebastian. Now seeing Sebastian's 18-year-old face, I just want to vomit, but I held it in and raised a mocking smile. "It's quite a shame for you to tutor a rich girl like me. You can go back now, but today, the money is still yours. If you don't want to accept charity, you can refuse it. Starting tomorrow, you don't need to come anymore. My family's temple is quite large, but it won't overflow with maternal kindness, sticking a warm face to a cold backside. The pain of venom injected into my internal organs reappears in my nightmares at midnight." I was sweating and screamed in fright. My mom heard my voice and immediately rushed to my room to comfort me. "Lilith, what's wrong?" My mom wiped the sweat off my forehead and said, "Don't be afraid, it's just a dream. Your parents are here to protect you." "Is it all a dream?" I looked up at my worried mother and hugged her, saying, "Mom, can you please make sure that the stores and restaurants we collaborate with also refuse to hire Sebastian for part-time work? Don't give him any opportunity to make money, even if it's just washing dishes or serving plates." My mom was confused. "Lilith, how can your feelings towards Sebastian change so much in just one day? Yesterday evening, when I saw that boy leave our house, he looked quite strange. Did you two have some kind of conflict?" I told my mom that if I explained my rebirth, it would definitely scare her. I could only explain that Sebastian had repeatedly expressed disdain for making money from our family. Initially, my mom wanted to donate 1 million to his family, but he coldly refused, which is a fact. My mom understood and agreed with me. But she added that if our Wen family chain restaurants and the cooperating restaurants do not use Sebastian, then he is likely to go to our competitors. That restaurant, the Yarrow family restaurant, is full of negative reviews, harsh on the waitstaff, yet still thriving. I nodded. This was my purpose. After being reborn, I set my sights on the goal of revenge against the blocked milk ducts. First, let Sebastian recognize his own worth. Then, I will torment him to the point of unbearable pain. Finally, I will watch him die a miserable death. Indeed, a week later, Sebastian started working part-time at Yaoji restaurant. At first, he didn't mind being rejected by the restaurant where he had previously worked part-time, because Liu Junjun was no longer working there either. Sebastian followed Liu Junjun to Yaoji restaurant. Although the hourly pay was 10 yuan less than at other restaurants, he felt it didn't matter, because being with Liu Junjun was the most important thing. Every afternoon after school, Sebastian would meet her at the crosswalk across from the school, and then they would hold hands, share a corn on the cob, and take the bus to wash dishes and serve plates. The medical expenses for Sebastian's mother in the hospital were originally supported by my family, paying Sebastian 5 times the rate of a well-known tutor, but hospitalization is expensive, and it was all used up in less than a month. Sebastian's part-time pay of 15.3 per hour, after working tirelessly for 90 hours in a month, only amounted to 1,377 yuan, and that was paid in the middle of the following month, which was simply not enough to cover his mother's daily hospitalization and medical expenses. He could only ask the hospital to defer payment for a week, promising that he would find a way to make up for it. His way of solving the problem was to increase the time spent on side jobs, either by working more night shifts or skipping classes to take on part-time work. The responsible homeroom teacher quickly noticed his unusual behavior and privately called him to the office to inquire if there was any way to help him solve his problems. In front of the homeroom teacher, he had no choice but to confess that his family was in a tight spot, and that his mother urgently needed hospitalization fees. The homeroom teacher felt that he had a tough situation, and since he was among the top 10 in his grade, she didn't want to waste such a good talent, so I first took out 1,000 yuan to donate to him, and then promised to organize a fundraising effort for Sebastian from the whole class or even the entire grade. This time, although Sebastian showed a hint of reluctance, he still nodded in the face of reality. During self-study class, when the donation QR code was passed from the front desk to Li Shui's and my deskmate Li Shui generously scanned the code and transferred 200 yuan. Then sighed, donating 200 yuan to Sebastian is already my limit. It's my breakfast money and my life-saving milk tea money for a month. Lilith, you have to donate more than I do later, so don't laugh at me, okay? Without stopping my hand from writing the exam, I replied without looking up, no way, I'm not donating. Li Shui exclaimed, weren't you privately seeking Sebastian for expensive tutoring before? By that logic, he counts as half your teacher. Besides, your family is quite wealthy and kind, just like what that movie Parasite says. Wealthy people have the time and energy to show that kind of kindness. Oh dear, I said something random, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have morally coerced you, I just noticed you've been acting a bit strange lately, and I couldn't help but want to gossip a little. I stopped writing and handed the QR code to the person behind me, then I replied to Li Shui, one can't be too kind, or else they might become a hated saint. You know how malicious those who receive help can be. If I donated to Sebastian, he would probably fight tooth and nail against us wealthy people. Li Shui burst out laughing. I leaned closer to Li Shui and continued to explain in a whisper, my life is at stake, really. 2 years ago, my mother wanted to directly donate 1 million to the Sebastian family, but he refused, feeling that my family insulted his dignity. Previously, I was one-sided and presumptuous in wanting to help him, but I didn't consider whether he needed it. I was being presumptuous. This young lady has decided to tighten the purse strings and stop spreading my saintly heart. After saying that, I buried my head back into the exam paper. Li Shui had no choice but to sip her milk tea while resting her chin in thought for a long time. During the second class meeting, the homeroom teacher counted the donations made to Sebastian, 498 yuan. Then, after clearing his throat, he looked at me with a sarcastic tone and said, this time, most of the classmates contributed to help Sebastian through his difficulties. You are all very kind children, but some who should have donated did not. At the same time, a chilling gaze shot towards me from the front row seat on the left side against the wall. Oh, it's our class's beneficiary, Sebastian. I stared at Sebastian, waiting for him to say something, but he silently turned away again. I gave up. I temporarily ignored those strange beings who dared not communicate directly, packed my bag, and went home as the class bell rang. I returned home to have a balanced dinner, then read for a while before taking a shower and resting. I need to conserve my energy and replenish my strength and sleep for tomorrow's final exam. Only after a good sleep can I think clearly to solve problems. I want to dominate the exam room once again. Long time no see. That top-performing self. A week later, the final exam results came out. I went from the bottom of the class to the top 30 in my grade, and the top 5 in my class. Sebastian, who had been in the top 10 of the grade for 2 years, fell to 100th place. All the classmates were discussing fervently, "No way, no way." Lilith, who has always been at the bottom, actually made it into the top 30 of the grade. Is this a dream? This is too exaggerated. She improved by a full 321 points. Could she be cheating? Wasn't Lilith the top scorer in the city exams before, so it's normal for her to readjust to high school exams, right? Her top scorer status in the city exams has long been rumored to be bought through connections. After all, money can make the world go round. Besides, she had Sebastian tutoring her all along. Wait. Why did Sebastian's grades drop so much? Could it be that he and Lilith swapped test papers? After all, his family really needs money lately. I strongly suggest reviewing Lilith's final exam results, or at least let her take the exam again alone to prove herself. My deskmate Li Shui helped me explain. Lilith definitely didn't cheat. I've seen her practice at least 2 sets of papers by herself every day for the past 2 months. The homeroom teacher was already unhappy with me for not donating to Sebastian, and after hearing these classmate speculations, he called me to the office and asked if I had cheated. I answered no. He retorted, "How can you prove that you didn't cheat? Why did you score so much higher than Sebastian, who has been tutoring you all this time? Is it because you didn't donate money to buy his answers and grades?" Girls from wealthy families just love to show off. I laughed out loud. Why should I prove myself? Whoever questions should provide evidence. You have been a teacher and educator for many years. I used to think you were a very responsible teacher, but now I realize you are the kind who adjusts your standards based on the person. Don't be too fond of men, and don't harbor resentment towards the wealthy. My parents started from a roadside stall over 10 years ago, with the right government policies and their hard work, focusing on food quality and service. They achieved what they have today. Otherwise, would you consider resigning and starting your own business from a roadside stall? You have to admit that some wealthy people, due to their accumulated wealth, can avoid the struggles of making a living and spend more time and energy on self-improvement and learning. Also, some wealthy people accumulate their wealth either because their ancestors worked hard for it or because they used their brains and put in effort, which also requires cultural knowledge. Don't treat the wealthy as if they are incompetent. The rich create a large amount of wealth, contributing to the country's GDP, regularly paying taxes to promote the healthy development of the nation, including 2 years ago. In the education fund my family donated to the school, you also received quite a bit of subsidy, right? Don't take advantage and then act innocent. If you're really confused, then read a few more books related to economics. The homeroom teacher was left speechless by me, only able to keep saying, You, Lilith, you are so rude, you don't understand the importance of respecting teachers at all, I laughed even louder, feeling that there was no need to communicate with him anymore. I turned and walked out of the office, then looked back and said, if you want to be respected, then you must first respect others. Don't use trivial matters as a pretext to show off and then label others. I had just returned to the classroom when Sebastian came to my desk and asked if he could say a few words at the classroom door. This is the first time he has taken the initiative to speak to me since my rebirth, but he still has a look of disdain on his face. I recalled the moment in my past life when he injected poison into my body, and I couldn't help but shiver. I suppressed the overwhelming hatred. I gave him a disdainful glance and said, if you have something to say, just say it. After a long while, he spouted this nonsense. What benefits did you give my mom? She wants to see you and is asking you to go to the hospital. Listen carefully, my mom wants to see you, but that doesn't mean I accept you. There is no possibility between us, so don't try to play those mind games anymore. He really is talking a load of nonsense. I directly got up and slapped him. Can't you, a grown man, stop spouting nonsense? What do you mean by playing hard to get? I just stopped paying you a high price for tutoring because I can easily score higher than you on my own, so why would I waste money on your sour face? You and I can't possibly be together. Have I ever pursued you, confessed my feelings? Did you ever receive a love letter from me? Did I ever coerce you into being with me? None of that happened, right? I just asked you to tutor me for a while. Why are you being so self-important? And also, understand that you are the one seeking my help now. So show some humility. Don't ruin the good reputation your parents have built up with your actions. Sebastian, who had just been slapped and scolded, instantly turned red, first looking at me with an expression of disbelief, then angrily shouted back at me, "You can go if you want. I've already passed the message, I'm going to fend for myself." I looked at his back as he turned to leave and shouted back loudly, "What a hypocrite! What a piece of trash!" Li Shui, who was sipping on bubble tea, stopped and grabbed my hand, saying, "Lilith, don't be angry, don't be angry. Being upset is bad for your breasts. Not scolding this dog thing will affect my breast health." But I know Li Shui was trying to comfort me. So I nodded in response and then invited her to go eat hot pot to celebrate that we both did well on the exam. This time, Li Shui moved from the top 50 in the grade to the top 30, and into the top 10 in the class. Li Shui immediately put down her milk tea, quickly packed her backpack, and pulled me out of the classroom. Amid the whispers of other classmates watching the show, Li Shui and I left the school boldly. In the fragrant hot pot restaurant, Li Shui and I stuffed our mouths with the fatty beef, tripe, lotus slices, chrysanthemum greens, green bamboo shoots, potatoes, and beef balls that we hadn't eaten in a long time. Then, out of nowhere, Li Shui pulled out 2 large cups of milk tea and handed one to me, saying, "Lilith, let's celebrate." I happily accepted it and first offered a toast, "Cheers to us both making it into the top 30 of our grade. And may we aim for the top 3 in next year's college entrance examination." Li Shui continued, "Celebrating that I've quit junk food, but I can't live without my milk tea," I continued. "Celebrating that I've given up my martyr complex and am being myself again." As our 2 cups of milk tea clinked together, Li Shui and I laughed in unison. "Here's to a bright future for us both." 1 week later, my mom took me to the city hospital for a checkup, where I ran into Sebastian, who was picking up his mom from discharge. It wasn't that his mom had recovered, but rather that her condition had worsened. His mom suffered from central nervous system damage due to heartbreak, leading to acute cerebral hemorrhage, which has now developed into chronic hemiplegia. If she stays in the hospital, they will also need to hire a caregiver for daily assistance and rehabilitation training. Last time, in addition to the school donations, he also received a donation through a crowdfunding platform, but after paying off his previous debts, he ran out of money in less than 2 weeks. Therefore, his family is already in dire straits. The second time, his family initiated another crowdfunding campaign, but very few people donated. Sometimes, a person's kindness can be completely exhausted. After seeing me and my mother, Yin's mother trembled as she greeted us and then thanked us. She said she knew that my family had previously donated money to them and had taken good care of Sebastian. The last time she wanted to invite me to the hospital was to thank me in person. My heart softened, and I couldn't understand how such a reasonable mother could raise someone like Sebastian, that self-righteous little brat. But my son Jiaming doesn't want to beg for money anymore to treat my illness. I understand him. Men care about their pride. I sit at home in a wheelchair, exercising on my own, waiting for him to come back from school or work to help me with some exercise. I should be able to get better slowly. Hearing her say this, my mother and I exchanged glances. Then all I can do is respect and bless it. Sebastian, with his right hand covered in band-aids, forcefully pushed between my mother and me, pushing Aunt Yin to take the bus in the cold wind. Is this person sick? Is this trying to vent the suffering from eating at Yaoji restaurant on me? Shouldn't I be the one to vent the hatred? I only made him realize his own worth. I haven't even started to torment him yet. I immediately called the restaurant manager. Listen to the intelligence I gathered at Yaoji restaurant. In this day and age, which restaurant doesn't have a supervisory undercover agent in the simple business of dining? Sebastian has been through a lot at Yaoji restaurant during this time. First, he didn't receive his part-time salary of 3,500 yuan on time because he accidentally broke a few plates. The plates, which were originally worth very little, require employees to compensate 3 times the amount at the penny-pinching Yaoji restaurant. Sebastian can't even buy similar plates to replace them. The general manager said that the plates at Yaoji are all custom-made and cannot be substituted with inferior ones. Proud Sebastian couldn't stand being treated this way, so he wanted to invite Liu Junjun to return to the previous restaurant for a part-time job. But Liu Junjun refused. Liu Junjun felt that washing dishes, wiping tables, and serving food was too tiring, and it was the same everywhere. Recently, the secret of Yaoji restaurant selling pre-made dishes was discovered. The owner came up with a trick by setting up a glass display case at the entrance, intending to show the process of making Yaoji's signature dish, spicy stir-fried pork. However, it wasn't actually being cooked, it just needed someone inside to perform the actions of cutting meat and slicing peppers. Preferably with a beautiful woman doing the pepper slicing. Coincidentally, Liu Junjun was not bad-looking. She was also tired of being called around in the restaurant. Sitting by the glass window cutting chili peppers was simply a delightful job for her. Of course, she didn't want to return to the previous restaurant with Sebastian, especially since she had already offended the manager and staff there. Why go back and be the subject of ridicule? Sebastian couldn't swallow the humiliation and had no choice but to return to the previous restaurant to seek employment alone. However, he had been rejected by 7 or 8 restaurants where he had worked part-time after graduating from the middle school entrance exam. The manager's reason for rejection was no longer the previous claim of being overstaffed, but rather a directive from the Wen family restaurant, which stated that he must not earn a single penny from the Wen family. Not even a laborious wage, Sebastian asked angrily. Aren't you Wang's catering? What does that have to do with the Wen family? Sorry, the Wen family is our major shareholder, the manager replied. Then Sebastian had no choice but to return to Yao's restaurant. He continued to endure and wash dishes, carefully serving plates, tirelessly tidying up chairs, and rushing to take the evening shift to earn an extra 20 yuan in overtime pay. Yaoji restaurant welcomes all kinds of people, in their eyes. Whether a full-time employee or a part-time worker, everyone is just a laborer. If you are willing to work, then work. If not, then get lost. In the entire city area, the 2 major dining camps, my family's Wanjia Catering and Yaoji Catering, basically monopolize the market. A penny can defeat a hero. Sebastian finally realized that making money is actually so difficult. What can he do? He can only spend more time on part-time jobs, even though his mother has been discharged from the hospital. Daily expenses still require money. Although the community provides regular assistance, he stubbornly refuses help because he wants to prove to his childhood friend Liu Junhuan that his mother can rely on her, and that Liu Junhuan can rely on her in the future as well. Unfortunately, Liu Junhuan can only respond to him with a helpless expression while cutting chili peppers in the glass display case. 8 months have passed like this. And we have entered the final sprint phase for the college entrance examination. My grades have steadily remained in the top 3 of the class and the top 10 of the grade. Sebastian has already become the bottom of the class and the entire grade. The homeroom teacher does not believe in evil, and cannot accept that his star student has become the poor student at the bottom. After all, in the eyes of the homeroom teacher, high school is a stage that highlights the learning abilities of male students. He always says that the top scorers in the college entrance exams from the previous 2 years were all boys. Oh, but regardless of whether the top scorer in the college entrance examination is a boy or a girl, they all have to spend time studying, reviewing, doing exercises, memorizing, and taking exams. Right, in these 8 months, Sebastian has skipped nearly 200 classes, having missed no less than 100 mock exams and spending so little time and effort on studying. Isn't it normal for him to rank at the bottom? That's why the homeroom teacher always feels sorry for Sebastian and suggests that he should best repeat a year. Sebastian did not accept it. He calmly stated that his mother had fallen at home alone during her rehabilitation last month, and when he returned home after his night shift, he found she had passed away. From now on, he could focus more on himself and his studies. The homeroom teacher looked at Sebastian's face, which was no longer youthful, with sunken eyes and a face full of acne. Feeling a deep sense of pity, she urged him to study hard and strive to catch up in the limited time left. Pushing for the college entrance examination, Sebastian nodded fiercely, a look that suggested he could easily peel off someone's skin without any problem. Unfortunately, after the college entrance examination results came out, he and the class teacher completely recognized the reality. My score in this life's college entrance examination was 300 points higher than Sebastian's. At the same time, just like the toast content when Li Shui and I had hot pot, I ranked in the top 3 of the grade, and we were the top scorers in Chinese and mathematics respectively, while another total score was also the top scorer in the city, and she happened to be a girl. Li Shui and I both filled out our applications on time, applying to the top universities in the country. However, Sebastian's score only allows him to apply to a vocational school in the city. Great. Not only can he wash dishes with his childhood friend Liu Junhuan at the same restaurant, but now they can also attend vocational school together and sell roasted sweet potatoes by the roadside after graduation. If she is willing, it is obvious that Liu Junhuan is not willing. After receiving her acceptance letter for a diploma program, she decided to go work in Hong Kong. She said that studying has no future for girls, and it's better to take advantage of youth to work as a model in Hong Kong. Once she earns money, she can attend a socialite training class, and who knows, she might even have a chance to marry a second or third-tier male celebrity. She has completely lost interest in Sebastian. In her past life, Sebastian always bought her various luxury items with the high tutoring fees her family provided, but she complained that Sebastian didn't have time to accompany her and rejected him to date the school bully instead. In this life, Sebastian has plenty of time to wash dishes and serve plates with her in the restaurant, but when they chew on the same ear of corn, she no longer feels that love can satisfy her hunger. She felt that Sebastian had no money to give her, and she didn't want to live another day of hardship where she could see no end. She wanted it all, but neither the Sebastian of her past life nor the one in this life could satisfy her, so she mocked the current Sebastian, calling him a foolish and ugly idiot. Soon, this idiot was arrested by the police. The reason Sebastian was arrested is that a neighbor reported him for killing his biological mother. 3 months ago, Sebastian returned home, first feeding his mother, who was lying in bed, with millet porridge, and then, when she lay down to rest, he unhesitatingly smothered her with a pillow. His mother struggled with all her might, begging for mercy, but Sebastian coldly acted as if he hadn't heard, only releasing the pillow when his mother had stopped breathing. An hour later, he rearranged the scene. He staged his mother's death to look like she fell from her wheelchair, with porridge scattered all around. Then he hurriedly left for his night shift, and when he returned home the next morning, he confirmed that Aunt Yin's body was already stiff, and then he called 120, but when 120 arrived at the scene, they confirmed that Aunt Yin was dead. And the paramedics stated that since the patient was already deceased, it was no longer under 120's jurisdiction. Sebastian needed to call the funeral center to collect the body. In this way, Sebastian avoided the autopsy of Yin's mother. Moreover, given his and his mother's dire financial situation, along with her long-term paralysis that left her confined to a wheelchair, it would be quite normal if she really did fall to her death. But I remember, ever since my rebirth, I have not forgotten to seek revenge and torment Sebastian. I just made him realize the reality of his situation, and he gradually revealed his vicious nature. Killing his own mother was his spontaneous act. I was just keeping someone on him to monitor and follow him, becoming his neighbor, and then recorded evidence of his crimes on video. Now, even the vocational school he despises so much, he won't be able to attend. In his past life, he claimed to look down on us wealthy families. Yet he shamelessly enjoyed the privileges and money my family provided him. This allowed him to dedicate a lot of energy to studying and improving himself after losing his father. I could also use my family's money to provide the best treatment for his mother. Then he was admitted to a very good university, but he still resented me for delaying his love life. It's really ridiculous. He could have refused all the conveniences my family offered, but why didn't he, after he caused my death? He traveled through various universities and finally found a girl who resembled Liu Junjun by 70%, then pursued her to be Liu Junjun's substitute, to fulfill the love he regretted but felt he must possess. Perhaps fate is particularly fond of wild and shameless people. After my death, Sebastian continued to receive wealth and love endlessly. However, they are particularly unfair to good people, who are always exploited and used, regardless of whether this good person is poor, wealthy, healthy, or ill. So friends, one should not be too kind. The saying good people are bullied is an old adage, but it is also a fact. In this life, I refuse to be a saint, starting with myself. Next, there will be even more exciting revenge practices to unblock the mammary glands. After all, we are just about to start the second step, torturing Sebastian to the point of wishing he were dead. In the golden autumn of September, while Li Shui and I were attending classes, participating in clubs, and debating at a university in Beijing, Sebastian was imprisoned in our city jail and then publicly tried. During the first trial, he suddenly recanted his confession because he could not accept the life imprisonment sentence. He tearfully refused to confess, insisting that the video provided by the neighbor was doctored and that he was being framed. He then claimed that he had been coerced into confessing at the police station. Afterwards, he inconsistently mentioned some details in an attempt to exonerate himself. For example, he watched a movie where a person who took care of a sick family member smothered the patient with a pillow and then committed suicide. He thought about doing that, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. He worked day and night, skipping classes, just to give his mother a better life. How could he possibly kill his own mother? Why would he ruin his bright future when he has such a wonderful youth? He can admit that he is not an outstanding person, but he must be a kind person. He doesn't even dare to kill a chicken. But when he saw his mother confirmed dead, he did feel a sense of relief because he was too tired. He also said that Yin's mother would surely feel relieved as well. Patients themselves can be exhausted, and she can go accompany her father now. The three elements of conviction currently only include witness testimony and physical evidence, and damn it, the body was already cremated a long time ago. It cannot be autopsied. Without Sebastian's confession, the case cannot be filed. The case can only be suspended for review. At this time, there has been a heated discussion about this matter online. This is clearly a case of malignant narcissism, antisocial personality, and histrionic traits, a deadly NPD, very similar to that recent case of a certain Lao. The excuses are the same. I am a high school alumnus of Sebastian, and I feel quite sorry for him. He was truly a dazzling presence in school, a combination of the school heartthrob and top student. Unfortunately, fate played tricks on him. His family conditions were too poor, his father passed away, and his mother was seriously ill, which hindered him. Upstairs. Being from a poor family is not an excuse for him to commit murder. If we go by your reasoning, half the people in the world would be forgiven for maliciously killing others. Besides, Sebastian and his mother received quite a bit of aid and donations after his father passed away. He is the one who is degrading himself. The one to be pitied should be his mother who was murdered. I feel so embarrassed for him, speechless, if he changes his testimony in court. And if the second trial upholds the original verdict, the prosecution and the court will only think that he has a bad attitude towards admitting guilt, which could very likely lead to a harsher punishment. If this isn't a wrongful conviction, then we are in for quite a show. Of course, it's for the viewers to see a good show, but also for my own breast health. I cannot accept Sebastian using lies to absolve himself. I want him to suffer more than death, so I took action. I bribed someone to give a sum of money to the family of Brother Wang, who was sentenced to life in prison for being forced to kill, so that he could deal with Sebastian in prison. After entering prison, inmates usually have a rule to ask each other how they ended up there. Rapists, child abusers, those who harm their family members, and people who love to report others are generally dealt with harshly by their fellow inmates. But someone needs to take the lead. Sebastian is in prison for killing his mother and is already disliked by his fellow inmates. He even tried to change his testimony during the trial, attempting to exonerate himself. Brother Wang, who has been serving a life sentence without evidence to overturn his conviction, vented his hatred onto Sebastian after receiving the news. So, during the break, Sebastian inexplicably found himself buried in the ground. While sleeping, Sebastian was first suddenly beaten to a pulp. Then his mouth was filled with urine. During meals, the food in his bowl was snatched away by other inmates within a minute. He would refill it, only to have it taken again, making it nearly impossible for him to eat enough. At first, he would report to the prison guards, but after making a report, he would be beaten even worse, and so, again and again, day after day. Before the second trial, he was tortured for a full 68 days. Thus, during the second trial, his psychological defenses collapsed, and he finally admitted to the fact that he had killed his biological mother, detailing the circumstances, only requesting that if he were to be sentenced to life imprisonment, he be transferred to another prison. The presiding judge replied sternly that, given his previous retraction of testimony, which reflected a poor attitude towards admitting guilt and the significant amount of public resources wasted, the result of the second trial may not necessarily be life imprisonment. Upon hearing this response, Sebastian was instantly terrified and collapsed to the ground. He fainted. In November, Beijing experienced its first snowfall. Li Shuiyuan and I wanted to book tickets to enter the Forbidden City to take photos and check in. However, there were too many people making reservations, and by the time it was our turn, there were no tickets left, so we could only enjoy the snow and eat Peking duck at a roast duck restaurant across from the Forbidden City. After finishing half a duck and drinking half a cup of milk tea, we heard the final verdict for Sebastian. Sebastian was sentenced to death with a 2-year reprieve. I hadn't had a chance to express my opinion yet when Li Shuai angrily interjected before me, "Isn't a death sentence with a reprieve just a way of saying he won't die? Sebastian killed his own mother, just like that Wu Moyu. Will it eventually turn into a life sentence and then a reduction? It's unbelievable." Netizens were also outraged. "No way, no way. I heard it's because Sebastian's father is a firefighting hero that he received leniency and was sentenced to death with a reprieve. But his mother is also his father's legal wife. This is a demon who even kills their own family. Please consider the safety of society. If Sebastian is not immediately executed, similar cases may occur in the future, leading to countless copycat offenders and endangering the safety of ordinary citizens. At this rate, who would dare to have children? Nowadays, raising a child doesn't even guarantee security in old age, let alone preventing being killed in the future." We might see a question on Jihu. What does it feel like to be killed by your own child? First floor, wait until I'm killed before answering you. Right now, I'm just thinking about survival and protection every day. Second floor, I agree, plus 10,086. I finished my milk tea and smiled at Li Shuai, saying, "It's fine, he will die. I guess even the heavens can't stand him, because I will take action again." Li Shuai prayed, bless me, soon, in less than half a year. Sebastian was convicted of intentional injury for injuring a fellow inmate, which fell under the death penalty suspension period. If he committed another crime, the death penalty would be executed immediately. Why did Sebastian intentionally injure his fellow inmate? Perhaps he was fed up with the provocations and torment from his fellow inmate. Or perhaps he just wanted to kill, just like he brazenly killed his own mother, just like he murdered me in the last life. Whether in the past life or this life, he is just a bad seed. It's just that in this life, he deserves to die. He should pay for all the sins he has committed. At our last hot pot gathering this year, Li Shuai and I heard the news that Sebastian had been executed. I heard that his death was quite gruesome. He refused lethal injection and chose execution by gunfire instead. However, when he was shot, he still tried to escape, so he was shot full of holes. At the same time, I also heard a gossip. A week before the execution of the death penalty, Sebastian requested a visit from Liu Junjun, expressing his intention to give her the old apartment in his family, hoping that whether Liu Junjun uses it for living or sells it, it could provide her with some material help, as a form of compensation for not giving her the life she wanted 2 years ago. Truly a performative personality. Even before dying, still playing the role of a lovesick person. How ridiculous. However, Liu Junjun refused the visit request and even privately cursed Sebastian for his bad luck. Liu Junjun has already established herself in the socialite training class, ready to conquer male celebrities at any moment. Why would anyone cherish a murderer's house? We smiled knowingly and raised our milk tea to celebrate. Then we spoke the new toast. Li Shuai sincerely prayed. "Thank you for allowing me to live safely and work hard for another year. Thank you for living in a society where rewards and punishments are clear, laws are established and must be followed, and law enforcement is strict. Also, thank you in advance for next year. It will surely be a year of clear rivers and peaceful seas. With harmonious times and abundant harvests, I also delivered a blessing. Thank you for a year in which I successfully preserved my life and protected my breasts. Becoming my own breast hero. Thank you for allowing my parents to be safe and healthy in the coming year, to retire early and enjoy their later years traveling. I also thank the system for giving me a chance to be reborn. I hope that next year I can become a showcase object for its achievements. After all, I have perfectly completed my tasks after being reborn. Tilda, the little system, Peach, seemed to have heard my wishes and sent me my year-end report on the year of rebirth and revenge. Focusing on breast health, on New Year's Eve, Dear Reborn One, Lilith, hello. This year, you protected yourself and your breasts 789 times, such as walking on the right side of the road and not using your phone at traffic lights, seeking medical attention and taking vitamin C for cold urticaria, and resting and getting 4 drips when you had a cold and fever. Of course, the most commendable and praiseworthy thing is that you avoided the murderous demon Yin Moming's assassination. You anticipated it in advance, kept your distance from him, and did not give him any opportunity to harm you. This year, you rejected moral coercion 457 times, such as ignoring your high school homeroom teacher's moral coercion to donate money to him, just as you resolutely refused to donate to Yin Moming last year. For example, you did not accept being cut in line by a bratty kid and then being verbally abused by their overindulgent parent. Instead, directly recording a video and reporting it to the police. You also refused your college classmates' request for you to cover their bill after they feasted at your family's restaurant. You did great, please keep it up. This year, the thing you persisted in the longest was cursing at people. In the past, cursing at people might have been about being petty, but this year, everyone you cursed at deserved it. Do you remember that day on December 20th? It was a special day. The day the person who harmed you in your past life finally received the punishment they deserved. You had 2 hot pot meals, expressed gratitude to yourself and the system, and then cried yourself to sleep in the middle of the night. I know you were crying for every day of hard work in your quest for revenge after being reborn. I know you worried that this was all just a dream. I know you were concerned that Yin Moming would hurt your parents and friends because of you. When the dust finally settled that night, you cried with joy and disbelief. From now on, please remember to thank yourself every day, because you are truly amazing. You worked hard to escape from that terrible ghost. Just as you said, you saved your life and protected your well-being. You are truly remarkable. By the time Sebastian and I got into the same public high school, his family had already spent most of the firefighter death benefits and various donations left by his father. In this year of not yet, you learned through your actions how to practice kindness while being wary of becoming a saint, lest you end up being ridiculed, used, and hurt by others. Kindness is about seeing the weak and wanting to protect and help them, such as rescuing stray cats and dogs, assisting the elderly, sick, and disabled, and donating to girls in impoverished areas. It is reasonable and appropriate to care for those around you, but if your abilities are limited and you cannot do so, there is no need to feel guilty, as long as you do not harm them. That is also a form of kindness. Because people are sometimes bound by external moral standards, they can also be bound by their own moral standards, captured by their own incorrect old beliefs, disciplined by their unreasonable demands, and constrained by their own vanity. One must first let oneself go. Otherwise, in practicing kindness, excessive behavior can lead to a savior complex, casually intervening in others' karma, disrupting one's own energy field, which can result in self-deprecation at best, or self-destruction at worst. The end. Your keyword for 2023 is madness. Please continue to maintain this passion in the days to come.